morning, aka GK Fralin. You can call me Glenda, please. My hair. I just washed it. That's why it's looking like this. Yes, I just took a bath. I'm fresh as a daisy for a little bit. Anyway, we do have company coming today. We have our minister coming, and he will probably be bringing another member of the diaconate board. And we have, well, there's deacons and deaconesses, but they go together as a diaconate. Okay, so I don't know if you needed to know that, but it makes me feel better that I explained it. Anyway, today we're going to talk about the motto that I've been discussing, living to the optimum level within our limits. And we'll also discuss the possibility of stretching those limits. Anyway, when we talk about an optimum level, think about what you feel is your optimum. What is the highest level of energy and fun and activity that you can expend and not feel like you've run your course? We need to, at some points, we need to feel like we have run our course. Don't get me wrong. I don't mean in the sense of life. I mean in the sense of for the day or for that minute, you know. Like I just took my bath, and when I got done, took a minute to breathe, dried off. That took a few more breaths. So each one of those, I had to get to my optimum limit of what I was able to do. Sorry, those things just drive me. After all these years, you'd think, but if they get a little crooked, they still bother me. It's like my daughter with her socks. I swear, she's in her 30s. She still has to have those seams on the toes just right. Don't work otherwise. I'm telling on her she's not going to like that, but I didn't tell you which daughter. Anyway. Well, we need to make a song of that. Okay, so taking my bath, I reached my level to the end of my limits as far as they were in that situation, because I have to think about the humidity and, you know, that kind of stuff. So then, you know, drying off takes a lot of energy. And even though I've been venting the room, there's still humidity. So, you know. But I get through it. It might be a 2 to 3 stage process, but I get through my bath. And this is what I mean by living to the optimum level of our limits or within our limits. And it doesn't mean we can't stretch those limits and make ourselves go a little farther. You know, it's like when you go for a walk or when you get on your treadmill or recumbent bike. You have a certain point where you need to quit because your heart's racing, your respirations are too high, and and your oxygen, mostly if your oxygen level starts to drop. For us, that's a big reminder that we have reached our limit. If our oxygen levels start to plunge. Now, I have gone past my limits of the time. It's not a good thing, because it took me quite a while of pursed lip breathing and a nurse watching over me to get it back. But we had gone on a 35-degree day in wet, humid weather to the, well, I don't even know if it was 35. I think it was 35. To the doctor's office, and then I had to walk from the vehicle to the office, which was a bit of a walk. And I stopped at least once. And then I had, you know, I sat there for a while, thought I had caught my breath, but evidently I had not brought it up far enough. And so just the walk from the waiting room to the the place where the nurse takes my blood pressure and all of that, weighs me, all of that kind of stuff. I was pretty well huffing and puffing. I couldn't hardly talk. And I was trying to, but she told me to just not talk and to keep breathing. And she had the thing on my finger, and it was in the 80s or low 90s. So she was coaching me as I breathed, because I was doing it, but you get to a point where it's like you get tired of the purse slipping, getting lippy with your pursing. The and you start going. No, then you get coached back to where you're supposed to be, because this is where the oxygen's going. Anyway, a little bit of fun to that. But okay, that was one time I went past my limits, and it wasn't very comfortable at all. But I was in an okay place to do that. I mean, it wasn't okay to do that, but I was in a place where at least I was watched over. When I had pneumonia, we had to push those limits because I was so sick. This was the 2012 pneumonia. And they'd turn it all the way up for when PT would take me for a walk. And there'd be two guys and one taking the canister. So was it three guys? Anyway, and we would get just so far, have to turn around and go back. And they would have to stop several times in between because my lungs were full, guys. My lungs were full, and I had an ileus. And believe me, when you've got pneumonia, an ileus is when you have a blockage in your intestine for whatever reason. And it could, hopefully it's not a twist. And I don't think I had a twist. I think I just had an actual blockage. Anyway, and I think it was a fecal blockage. But what happened was because I couldn't burp either. That's what happens when, it starts spasming. And I get to where I can't, everything kind of clamps down. And I can't burp either. Now you'd think the body would say, release this thing and burp. I don't know why the body does the wrong thing sometimes, but it does. Anyway, so there's different times when you push your limits a little more. But you still have to realize there's a time when, if your oxygen is getting down, in the low 90s, that you need to stop and breathe. And, okay, most of us have more than one thing wrong with us. For me, I have emotional concerns. And even though I don't suffer as much from anxiety as I did years ago, a lot of that is because I am aware of what triggers me. Doesn't mean that something might not happen that's out of my control and trigger me. My problem is realizing it is out of my control. And the only thing I can do is let it go. So I have another limit there. Some of you may have congestive heart failure. That gives other limits because you don't need fluid buildup. Yeah, there's just so many things. I think my heart might be slightly enlarged. I don't, that's something they told me years ago before I was on oxygen. So but they said it wasn't dangerously. But there are some who do. And depending on what you have, if you have cancer, your limits are going to be much tighter when you're on chemo, more than likely. I don't want to say that for everybody because some people fly through chemo. And it's like me, I flew through pregnancy. I never had I hardly had a sick day at all. I didn't get morning sickness. I was bubbly and I was the best when I was pregnant. And it made others so mad and jealous. My mom said she would start making breakfast and she would make eggs for my dad every morning. Anyway, she would make those eggs and she would have to run out the back door and let it go. But, that's the way it is, and I shouldn't laugh at her. It's not funny when people have morning sickness, but it's sometimes I have a nervous laugh. But you know what? That might seem funny to me, but it's not kind to laugh. I wouldn't, it's unless she's joking about it too. If it's not funny to them, it's not funny. So don't be a deliberate bully. Anyway, so there's limits that you have that I don't have and vice versa. But we need to go, okay, I can't get out and do a lot of the things outside that I used to, gardening. I can't go out and plant flowers like I used to and dig in the dirt and that kind of stuff. What I can do is I can put beaded necklaces together. That's being creative. I can write. I'm going to get that story out there. I can do other things. There's more than one way to optimize your existence, okay? You don't have to sit around and dwell on those awful 2 words in stage, like I was talking about yesterday. So, I'm making this kind of a one recording, I think. I'll have to listen to it later and see, because we do have company coming. I straightened my bed, and I have got, yesterday I cleared off half that table. Well, I put all the messy stuff away. I got rid of the beads and put them away. So it's, it looks like cleaning, yeah. There's a lot of things I don't do because it causes me too much, I would need a dust mask all the time to do it. And I have other people who can do it for me, so why not? Anyway, I'm going to stop here, and I hope you understand better. If not, please put in the comments something I can explain better. And I'll listen to this, see if it makes any sense to me. But a lot of times I've got things in my mind that are already worked out that I'm not explaining so well. So please let me know. And if there's something that you find is important to is a spot where you have a limit and you feel or what is where that limit is coming from, and you want to share that, please do. And if you want me to read it, I'll read it in one of the vlogs. I just need to make sure I copy paste it and remind myself to do it. But I think I've gotten most of them, so I do love you. I care. And I am here for as long as I can be. You have a good day. Hasta mañana.